How do we participate in the ongoing restoration of the church? Well, I would hearken you to Doctrine and Covenants section 86, which is a parable of the wheat and the tares. But in this parable, the Lord takes a new interpretation on it. Instead of wheat and tares being individuals, the Lord interprets it through a dispensational lens. And he says that the tares were like the great apostasy, and that now the wheat and the apostles going to sleep was like them being killed. And now the blade is yet tender and is beginning to grow up. And he likens it to the restoration. And at the very end, in verse 10, he gives a fascinating therefore. Whenever you study the Doctrine and Covenants, pay attention to the wherefores and the therefores. Those are the lessons. After he gives this dispensational interpretation of the parable of the wheat and the tares, listen to what the Lord says, quote, therefore, the priesthood have remained and must needs remain through you and your lineage until the restoration of all things spoken by the mouth of all the holy prophets. In other words, you and I have been given the sacred trust of the priesthood covenants of the restoration, particularly the covenants of salvation and exaltation. Within the Lord's authorized church, we have been given the authority to perform those and have prophets and local leaders to oversee the administration of them. We've been given holy temples where we can administer the covenants of Abraham and Sarah, the covenants of Adam and Eve, the covenants of exaltation. Our job, back to that therefore, is that the priesthood has been given to you with its covenants. Our job is to continue in that covenant path, as our prophet has said, and then pass on that covenant to other people through both missionary work, but in particular through our lineage, to give those covenants to those who have deceased in the past, to do the work for the dead, and to pass on to those covenants to those who come after us, our posterity. Do the work of the covenant, pass it on, keep it, and continue it. That's the way that we participate majorly in the ongoing restoration of the church.